Alright, so we're getting started with the principles of design. You will be starting out with your pamphlet. You will fold it in half. On the bottom back, make sure you write your first name, last name, class code, and the day's date. Remember, that's where your class code goes. And then 1-31-2024. And then you're going to take a pair of scissors and cut on your lines so that you make the front part just like the Elements of Art one and make it foldable. Okay? Once you have that done, principles of designs are a set of tools used to organize the elements of art in a composition. A composition is just another word for artwork. No one can ever really, no art teachers anyways, most artists can't always agree on what all the principles are, so these are the ones that we're going to go with. Tried matching up the ones that are similar together. So, pattern and repetition are a regular arrangement of alternating or repeating elements. So, those elements would be like your shape, your line, your color, etc., or motifs. The difference is repetition is when one item or thing is repeated over and over again, and pattern is when two or more things are repeated over and over again. You probably learned this as ABC pattern when you were little. These are examples. It's the same exact thing over here in repetition over and over and over again versus pattern. We have circle, square, blue, yellow, and so forth. Now with repetition, you could do the same item over and over again and have it different sizes and colors, and it would still be the same item over and over again. But to keep your example easy and your definition easy, repetition pattern. Is the arrangement of alternated or repeated elements. Repetition, one item / thing repeats. Pattern, two or more items or things repeating. And then you will come over here, draw a line down the middle, put repetition on one side, pattern on the other. Please make sure that you are being more neat than I am. Most of my work that I'm going to show you in this is maybe a C grade and you want higher than that. Make sure you check the rubric. Okay? Next up is contrast, the placement of different elements of art, so rough and smooth, which is texture, dark and light, which is value, etc., in order to highlight their differences and or to create visual interest of a focal point. So focal point is a place your eye is drawn to first when you look at a work of art. Negative and positive space create high contrast, and so do complementary colors. So for this first example here, it is complementary colors making this red apple stand out because red and green are complementary. For this bottom one, it's the size of the circle making this one stand out. So that deals with shape. This one, it is color, texture. Those are the things making this stand out because you have the bright orange leaves, and while you still have reds in the pebbles, you have blues in there, so color is also a factor. But the more roughness versus the dryness of the leaves to the rocks make it stand out as well. And like I said, the blueness, maybe I said the blueness in the rocks makes it stand out as well. And this particular image over here, the leaf, you have line, value, shape, all working, but really a lot of value shifting. It's helping make that contrast of the veins stand out. So for your example, placement of different elements of art, rough, smooth, dark, light, etc., in order to highlight their differences and or to create visual interest or a focal point. If you do not know what a focal point is, make sure you write that in there as well. And then for your example, you're going to do 2. What I suggest is you choose 2 elements of art to focus on for this contrast. So like for this one, I did color. I did red and green because they are complementary. They are directly across from each other, so they will make each other pop. Your other ones that will make the complementary colors, remember, are violet and yellow and blue and orange together, so they'll make each other pop. Shape, I took it a step further and added a little bit of color to it as well. I did all circles, drew one bigger, made it a different color so it popped. Try to stay away from texture. It's a little harder to do in this small little area. Okay. Next up is emphasis, special attention or importance given to one part of an artwork. It can be achieved through placement, contrast, color, size, and repetition. Creates a focal point. It's a place, once again, that draws your eye to, it's the first place your eye is drawn to. So like in this case, first place is to this, first place is to this triangle here, to this red spot, to the ladybug, to the light blue starfish. This is low contrast, but it's still contrast. But it's also emphasis because it's still standing out. So with that in mind, for emphasis, special attention / importance given to one part through placement, contrast, color, and size. And then I literally use my complementary colors again because emphasis and contrast go hand in hand. And I use blues around my orange so that orange stands out. And then I just put circles and made one red. You'll have 2 examples. Make sure they're nice and neat. Next up is balance. There are 3 types of balance. We have symmetrical, which is achieved by arranging elements on either side of the center of a composition in an equal weighted manner. So it's always split like 50-50. Like a heart you would cut out of paper. If I folded it in half, it would be a mirror image of the other half. Asymmetrical occurs when you have different visual images on either side of the design, yet the image still seems balanced. To be considered asymmetrical, a design needs to have an unequal visual weight on either side, but those unequal visuals need to balance each other. So like take Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. He has a dark cypress tree in the front left, but in the back on the right, he has a bright moon, and those 2 balance each other's out with lightness and darkness. Radial design, any type of balance based on a circle with its design extending from the center, a star, the iris around each pupil of your eye, a wheel with spokes, and a daisy among many flowers and other plant forms are examples of this. So symmetrical, if I were to fold this in half, it's exactly the same on both sides. Asymmetrical, here's one side of the artwork, here's the other. They're not the same, but they take up the same amount of space. And then radial, it's the same, exact same no matter which way I go. So, for balance, you're going to put symmetrical, same on both sides. Asymmetrical, visually different but weigh the same / even out. Radial, all parts equal distance and same from the middle. Then for your examples, you're gonna do symmetrical, an asymmetrical, and a radial. If you do these little wiggles, you need to make sure that you're very careful about how you draw them so that they make sense if you were to fold it. Alright, that's the last one I had prepared. So, proportion and scale. Scale and proportion are both design elements that have to do with size. Scale is the size of one object in relation to the other object in a design or an artwork. Proportion refers to the size of the parts of an object in relation to the other parts of the same object. So think about it this way. If you drew a picture of a house and a person, that deals with scale, because you would make the person smaller than the house, because you know that houses are bigger than people. Versus proportion, if you were drawing someone's face, you would draw their nose or their lips or their eyes in proportion with the rest of their face. Space is organized by this, especially when used in perspective, so foreground, middle ground, and background. So our scale, once again, imagine this right here was a house, and this was your person. Versus if I was drawing the face, say I was drawing the nose, it would relate and be the proper size for the rest of the face. So the definition you will go with is scale, size of one object in relation to another, and then proportion, size of the parts of an object in relation to the other parts of the same object. Your image will look kind of like this. Scale, your little person probably be slightly shorter than your door because it would fit through the door, and a house and tree would be bigger, and a bush might be about the same size, or even smaller than the person. Proportion, like I said, deals with, if I did like the mouth is about the right size for the rest of the parts in the face. This is like where your forehead is in hair, so this would normally be covered up, but I'm just leaving them as that. Okay? So your next one is unity and harmony. Harmony, one should note that harmony is not the same as unity. Harmony does, however, enhance unity in a work of art. Especially, harmony uses the elements of art, color, line, shape, form, value, space, texture, as a vehicle to create a sense of togetherness among otherwise separate parts. A set of colors that relate according to a specific scheme creates harmony. Likewise, a uniform texture of brush strokes across the surface of a canvas create harmony. Arrangement of elements to give the viewer the feeling that all parts of the piece form a coherent whole. Unity is the principle of art that gives an artwork a feeling of oneness. Unity and harmony are similar, but unity is more broad. There are numerous ways to create unity in art. Some of these ways are particular to the individual artist styles. Unity is about separate parts working together. We can better understand unity by thinking about a car. A car's purpose is to provide transportation. When the many parts of the car are working together, it moves. No part of the car, separate from the whole, is capable of providing transportation. When the car functions as it should, the parts are working together in unity. So, unity, same shapes, size, tones, and textures. And same shapes, tones, textures, interest created by varying sizes and position. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the definition. This one is, oops, too far. So I know this one is a little bit harder to show, but you'll have harmony made by repeating theme, item, or scheme, and then unity is basically when multiple themes, items, and or schemes are working together. And you'll kind of do an example like this. Harmony, where I just did circles of varying sizes but kept with the same color throughout an image. And then unity, different colors, different sizes, different shapes, but it still leads you through. It still makes it feel like one. Okay, and there will be a part 2.